to be our top focus story as it is day 3 of the monsoon session and the status quo on the stormy note that it began on remains. The opposition protest in the Parliament complex demanding that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi make a statement in the House has taken a new turn altogether. After the suspension of Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh from the Rajya Sabha for the rest of the monsoon session for quote-unquote repeatedly violating the directives of the chair while protesting on the Manipur issue, now opposition parties have upped the ante against the union government, claiming this to be an attempt at throttling their voices. The suspension, remember, came after the leader of the House, Mr. Pugh moved a motion in this regard and it was adopted by the House by a voice vote. Also, after this entire suspension drama played out of the Parliament, Union Home Minister Amit Shah also briefly addressed the Lok Sabha, saying that he was ready to discuss the Manipur situation, although the opposition is the one that is stalling the proceedings. To this, the opposition alliance under India has decided to hold an overnight protest at the Gandhi statue inside the Parliament complex.
सरकार मणिपुर के ऊपर बात करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, मोदी जी सदन में आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, हमारा विरोध जारी रहेगा.
We are united. Our only demand is that Prime Minister should come to Parliament and we are ready for a discussion on Monday.
विपक्ष के नेता को आग्रह है कि चर्चा होने दे और इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले पर पूरे देश के सामने सच्चाई जाए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है.
देश के गृह मंत्री दोनों सदनों में चर्चा के लिए तैयार है. विपक्ष मणिपुर से संबंधित घटनाओं पर चर्चा करने की बजाय क्यों भाग रही है?
Let me open this up to my guests who joined me this evening on Viewpoint. Neha Joshi of the BJP, Dolly Sharma of the Congress Party, Mr. Javed Ansari, who's a senior journalist, and also joining me is Tushar Gupta, who's the editor of Swaraj magazine. Now, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on this very special edition of Viewpoint. And of course, the discussion, unfortunately, remains the same. Neha Joshi, would you first begin and throw some light on what really is happening inside the Parliament, why the stalling is continuing, despite the fact that the Manipur situation needs to be importantly be looked at by both the government and also the opposition?
Thank you, Kriva, for having me, and good evening to everyone. See, first of all, the Prime Minister has himself made a statement on Manipur. The opposition parties demanded that the Parliament suspends all business pending a debate on Manipur. The government has conceded. The government has said, let's have a debate. The minister in charge for internal security is the Home Minister. He has stood in Parliament today and in no unequivocal terms has said that let's have an open debate. Now the opposition wants that the PM makes a statement in both the houses. So this all or nothing attitude, Griha, this is not how a democracy functions. There are specific functions that specific people have to carry out. And the Home Minister in this case is authorized. In fact, he is the one who has spent 4 days in Manipur. He is the one who knows the situation there. He's in a position to brief the country and the parliamentarians on this. I don't understand why does the opposition not want a debate now. They wanted a debate and today they've created a ruckus for nothing. So it makes me wonder that do they want the Parliament to function? Are they what is it that they really want?
Okay, Dolly Sharma, would you like to respond to that? Considering what the government is saying that they are open for a debate, it's the opposition that's stalling the proceedings. It's a back and forth that's continuing. Whose word should we believe in? What does the Congress really have to say about these allegations?
Greha, this government has failed completely in Manipur. We have seen the visuals, the bone-chilling visuals that came out of Manipur, and that was not only one incident. There were 2 incidents happening the same day, 40 kilometers away on Wednesday. Another incident was happening. 2 girls were also killed in the same manner. And We have seen many other incidents happening in Manipur. More than 5,000 houses, are burnt. 60,000 people living out of their houses in camps. More than 150 people are no more. They're killed, and 300 people are in a bad situation, bad state. And they are saying so many things about Manipur. And as she gave you an example of Amit Shah's visit to Manipur, Amit Shah's visit to Manipur was nothing more than a hollow show. If his
No, but
visit was
Dolly,
that
they are also
meaningful,
saying that they are ready to have a conversation, they are ready to have a debate.
yeah,
Why is the
let me-
opposition still
give
not
me-
going
give me-
ahead with that?
Give me 10 seconds, Greha.
Yeah.
Let me complete. Give me 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So why the opposition wouldn't want to complete the discussion? We want discussion on Manipur. Manipur is a no normal situation. We want discussion on Manipur. We are saying let's discuss as per rule number 267, wherein you have to discuss everything on Manipur. What they're doing is they want the discussion as per 176, wherein they'll give us 2-3 minutes to discuss. 2-3 people will come and speak.
But Dolly, as per
And
176,
if they will have
there
time
can
to,
be a good amount
if
of
they will give us
time, like
it can
2.5
be any day.
hours can be
No,
dedicated
it can
to the
be any
discussion.
day. Why not immediately? Why not immediately? It can be any day. It can be any day.
Okay. Neha, I see that you wanted to respond to
Why?
Dolly, but before
Why?
that, let me
Why
actually
any
bring in
day?
Mr. Javed
Why not
Ansari.
urgently?
All right, Dolly,
Why
got your
not
point.
urgently?
Got your point. Javed Ansari, I'd like to understand from you this entire sparring over certain rules, whether it is 267, 176, why not discussion happen under that? The opposition says, BJP says otherwise. What do you actually see, in this entire controversy that's emanating out of the parliament? Even there were allegations that were made that the timing of the video that's come out of Manipur is also questionable. How does one see that in totality when all of these arguments come together?
Look, I just can't get my head around it. I mean, they are blaming the timing, the video for having come out. They are not concerned about the dastardly, the bestiality that occurred in Manipur.
Yes.
They are not concerned about what poor men, women, old men, children have to face. They are not concerned about what is happening, how a bordering state, a sensitive state, is up in flames, is literally at war at itself. Should that break our conscience, or should we worry about the fact that the news came out? At least the world got to know. Otherwise, there is a blanket ban, nobody knows.
Absolutely.
And the reason why people are insisting on a debate under a particular rule is because that means that it emphasizes, underlines the urgency of the situation, the importance of the situation. It puts aside all other business and takes this up on a priority. If the Prime Minister can make a 30-second statement in the car park of Parliament, why can he not make a statement on the floor of the House? If the Prime Minister chooses that occasion to appeal to the people of Manipur, one may or may not agree with him, but he is by far the most popular leader in the country, and he is the Prime Minister of India. If he makes a fervent appeal from the floor of the House, it will have a huge salutary effect. The Prime Minister should not wait for the opposition or somebody to demand. He should voluntarily, he should on his own make a suo motu statement. That will have a calming down effect. It will have a salutary effect.
Mr. Ansari, I also want to understand, since you mentioned Rule 276, why is it so important to actually go ahead and have that debate under 276 as far as the Rajya Sabha is concerned? If we actually go by what the government's logic is, let's at least begin with talking about it rather than wasting these 3 days of the parliament over nothing. Don't you think there needs to be that middle step, there needs to be that common ground, or that entire aspect where both the opposition and the BJP at least come and meet each other midway? Why do you think that is missing?
That's missing because usually the chair plays the role of a facilitator. The chair must be a neutral umpire. He's not the headmaster. He takes all sides through. The thumb rule of parliamentary functioning is that the opposition must have its say, the government must have its way, and this usually happens in the speaker or the chairman's chamber where he brings all sides together. The government concedes a bit, the opposition concedes a bit, ends meet, and ultimately you have a solution. It cannot be entirely opposition's way. It cannot be entirely the government's way. And the presiding officers have always so far been very neutral, have not only done the right thing, but have been seen to be doing the right thing.
Okay.
You cannot sledgehammer approach once in a while you can wrap somebody on the knuckles. It cannot become the stop delivery. It should be a shock delivery rather than the stop delivery where the answer to everything is you name somebody and throw him out. That's not going to work.
Okay. Tushar Gupta, where do you see the solution in all this, in this conundrum?
Look, Griha, the solution lies in having a discussion right away. We cannot look away from Manipur. I mean, we can raise Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Bengal as much as we want. But the magnitude of problem we have in Manipur is huge, and the government has also been addressing it for the last 3-4 months. The army units have been sent in. There is a blockade going on. A lot of middle ground is being approached between the Kukis and the Meiteis. However, a discussion in the parliament is of utmost importance. Now, the opposition wanted a discussion. The Home Minister conceded to it. Now, the opposition wants to shift the goalposts, and they are demanding that the Prime Minister first makes a statement in both the houses of the Parliament.
No, but Tushar, I don't think there is a shifting of goalposts. They have been steadfast in their demand that the Prime Minister needs to address the House. That has not changed when it is about the demand that the opposition is making from the very first day. And I would actually put it on record, even after that 30-second statement that the Prime Minister had given to the media, the opposition continued with that demand. They never wanted the Home Minister or anybody else from the ministry to go ahead and speak on behalf of the Prime Minister. And only that is missing. And that's why the stalling exercise is going on.
No, but what do they want? Do they want to put questions to the Home Minister under whose jurisdiction actually falls? Or they just want a statement from the Prime Minister, which will be again the same thing about the solutions and what approach the government is taking. My take, Griha, is that given the magnitude of the problem in Manipur, the opposition should push for a discussion right away, ask the tough questions to the centre as to what has been done, how this problem evolved into such a big Frankenstein monster, and then demand a statement from the Prime Minister. My worry here is that the opposition is not willing to ask centre some tough questions. They're asking for a statement. That's fine. That can come later. But to begin with, for the people of India, for their voters, and for the voters of this entire country who are looking at Manipur, they should first approach a discussion. They should ask the centre the tough questions, let them answer, and then see where the solution goes. This deadlock is not helping anyone. It may look politically theatric, but it's not helping anyone. And certainly not the opposition, and certainly not the people of Manipur. So my simple take is, let's start with the discussion. Ask centre all the tough questions you want to. Put them forward in public. Put them forward in the media. And then, whatever conclusion comes, whatever the futuristic approach has to be, let that come from the Prime Minister. But Home Minister has to be answerable first.
Okay. Dolly Sharma, that's a fair point that Tushar is making. Why not begin with asking the tough questions? Why go ahead only with this demand that Prime Minister should speak? At least start somewhere. Why is the opposition not willing?
Reha, unfortunately, we have a Prime Minister who can go and campaign for a Nigam poll, right? Who can fly and address the public outside India, but he cannot visit Manipur. He cannot come to the Parliament, Indian Parliament, right? He does not need to go abroad to address the Parliament, right? He has to address the Parliament in Delhi itself. When he can go and campaign in the municipal polls, why he cannot come and discuss in Parliament such critical situation of Manipur? Why he's shying away? डबल इंजन की सरकार, सच बिग कितने बड़े ढपोल संक वादे।
नहीं, मैंने आपसे एक सीधा सा सवाल पूछा डॉली, मुझे इसका जवाब दीजिए। ये बात तो मैं समझ रही हूँ और ये एक फेयर पॉइंट है, लेकिन ऑपोजिशन की तरफ से नो डॉली हेल्प मी अंडरस्टैंड दिस वन थिंग। ऑब्वियसली यू विल आस्क ऑफ द बीजेपी, द गवर्नमेंट, द सेंटर, अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. It totally is up to them on what they choose to agree to and what they choose not to, and that's why the stalling is happening. That's why this deadlock continues in the parliament. But when it is about offering, let's say, a solution, and I am saying, one of the panelists mentions that why not the opposition begin with asking some tough and important questions vis-a-vis Manipur, at least start there, and then if the Prime Minister doesn't come up with a response, then you can go about protesting like you're doing right now. Why is that missing?
From day one, we are asking to discuss in Parliament as per rule number 267.
Yeah.
They are not ready. They are not taking Manipur as a serious situation in the country.
Okay.
If we are asking them about Manipur, they're diverting the topic. They're asking us questions on Rajasthan. A woman, 80-year-old woman, is burnt alive. Yesterday, we've seen that news also coming up on most of the channels. So, is it not serious?
Neha, that's an important and a fair point.
What,
While Manipur continues to burn, while Manipur continues, yes, I got your point, Dolly. Neha, while Manipur continues to burn, the Prime Minister is refraining from going ahead and giving into the opposition's demand. Is this an ego tussle that is at play, even if in the wake of this huge crisis that one of the states, important states of the country is witnessing, in this case Manipur, can that not be put away just to address the important issue at hand? And why talk about Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh in the same light when you're talking about Manipur?
Griha, to answer your last question first, while Dolly Sharma's heart weeps, as it rightfully should, for the women in Manipur, as does mine, I would encourage her to also think about the 6-month-old baby who was charred to death in Jodhpur, which is a Congress-ruled state. Now, coming back to your original question,
you know, Neha, who they were.
Let her respond first. Dolly, let her respond.
Unfortunately,
they were ABP guys, 3 ABP guys.
One second, Dolly, one second. Let her respond.
You can't
let her respond.
Manipur
that's
with
not how you
Rajasthan.
debate.
Yeah.
Dolly, that's not how you debate. Allow me to
one
complete.
second. Neha, please go ahead.
So, Griha, unfortunately, the opposition's job in this country is reduced to theatrics, while the government's job is to find solutions. They wanted all business be suspended and there be a debate. And I would like to educate Ms. Dolly Sharma that the opposition MPs have also filed notices under Rule 176. So it's not that the government hasn't received notices under that rule. And I'll be happy to share copies of that with Dolly Sharma. Now, if the government is saying it suspends all business and let's have a discussion, why is it that the opposition is shying away from a discussion? Griha, tell me something. What is of importance right now that the Home Minister, who is well apprised with the situation, with the minutest of details of what's happening in Manipur, he comes and answers to the Parliament and the rest of the nation, or they want a statement from the Prime Minister. We are looking for solutions here. We are not looking for theatrics that the opposition wants to indulge in. This is not a banana republic that the opposition sits on dharna outside the Gandhi statue and the government concedes to everything and anything. There is a rule of law, there is devolution of powers, and there is accountability and responsibility accorded to specific people. In this case,
no, but I'd still like to understand from you, Neha, that instead of just sparring over under which rule can the discussion begin, whether it is 176 or 267, why not begin it in the first place? Why should people of Manipur wait for any sort of important statement or any movement to come in from the seat of democracy in the country, that is the Parliament?
Griha, did you watch the Home Minister
I would like to intervene. Just 10 seconds.
Let her make a point. Let her make a point.
The Home Minister on the floor of the House, Griha, said, let's debate the issue right now. Did you see the behavior of the opposition MPs? Did it seem like a group that wanted solutions? Sloganeering inside the Parliament where they could have actually had a reasonable, meaningful debate.
Okay.
They reduced the Parliament.
Okay, Dolly, make your point. I'll go to Shah. Yeah.
I think, Griha, the lady sitting from the BJP should go through the news channels and see Pauline Lal, he's an MLA of BJP from Manipur. His statement was that the state government is involved for what is happening in Manipur.
Okay. Neha, quick response, because obviously that is one interview that is doing the rounds. It is dominating the internet right now. And there is a BJP MLA.
That the state government is involved.
Sensitive issue.
One second, Dolly. Don't misquote him. Don't misquote him.
Sharma, I'm sorry.
No, I am not misquoting that. I can give you a...
She's responding.
I can show you.
Dolly, she's responding.
No, I can show you. I am not misquoting.
One second. Dolly,
I can show
Dolly,
you.
she has asked you, just wait for her to respond to the question that you've raised, and that's an important question. Let's not dilute the question that you've raised. Neha, quick response from you. There is a MP from your own political party that is disappointed in the handling of the Manipur situation by not just the Chief Minister, Mr. Biren Singh, but also the government at the centre. He, in fact, is feeling sorry for the double-engine Sarkar that has failed to work in Manipur, and he's gone on record. Everybody is talking about it. How does BJP respond to that?
Again, Reha, let the Home Minister respond to that. Do you think when the Home Minister is going to speak on the floor of the House, he will not address that?
No, but this is not the Parliament. Here we are talking about the Manipur situation. Neha, this is not the Parliament. We will not wait for the Home Minister response while we are on this debate. I'd like to understand what has been the BJP's response over that crucial statement that has come in from one of the MPs from Manipur who's talking about the situation which has gone out of hand and how the state government and the government of the centre is allowed to do that because of this stalling exercise. Why can't the BJP address those questions?
Priya, first of all, we all need to understand, and I'm sure most of the viewers who are watching us today on TV understand that what's happening in Manipur for the last 80 days, this is not a standalone issue. This hasn't appeared in 2023. There are legacy issues in Manipur that need to be addressed. The situation right now is very, very sensitive, and I would not want to, make loose statements here as to who said what.
Okay, Mr. Ansari, let me bring you in here. Mr. Ansari, do you think we are going about in circles? Now that the opposition parties have decided to actually hold or override dharna, how instrumental is that going to be in pushing the government any further to going about speaking on the Manipur issue as they desire for it to go about? And do you think all of this is leading nowhere while there are varying statements and also different ones that are coming in from within the BJP faction when it is about the state of Manipur?
You are spot on. This matters very little. There will be poor consolation to the people of Manipur. Whether you stage a dharna inside Parliament, outside Parliament. The fact is, and there is a very easy solution. We can have a debate, the Home Minister can reply, and the Prime Minister can intervene. It has happened in the past. Because the Home Ministry is in charge of this situation, the Home Minister can reply. The Prime Minister, in the course of the debate, can show more to intervene and make a statement. That will, like I said, it will. There's no point in standing on ego. As we speak, people are dying, people are being raped, houses are being burned, children are being maimed. They are one of us. It's a part of India. It's going up in flames. So it matters very little for them whether we sit on a dharna and who speaks first. Let's have a debate. Let's address this. And the chief executive of the country, if there is a cloudburst in a foreign country, the Prime Minister speaks up. Why can he not speak up about Manipur? And what better place than Parliament? When he first entered Parliament, he bowed down and kissed the ground.
Yes.
He kissed the constitution. If that was not, if that was only optics, then it's one thing. But if he really meant it far beyond that, then let's give Parliament its importance. Let the Prime Minister make a statement. Let there be a debate. Let the Prime Minister make a statement, and let Mr. Amit Shah, by virtue of being Home Minister of India, give a reply.
Okay, Tushar, you wanted to come in here while you want to make that point against what Mr. Ansari is saying, but I'd like to also understand, since we were also on the Kuki MLA, the BJP Kuki MLA, Mr. Haukip's response and the interview that is now going viral on social media, you will at least listen to the people from within the parties. And do you think there has been a stark divide, whether it is BJP or whether it is any other political party, at least on the basis of the communities that they come from, whether it is a Kuki MLA or a Meitei MLA, the divide is very, very strong in Manipur vis-a-vis that, and that has not been addressed as far as the government of the centre is concerned. Tushar.
No, the divide is indeed very stark, Rhea. You're spot on there. The divide cannot be missed by anyone who's been observing Manipur for the last 3 months. And that is the divide that needs to be bridged. And that is why the armed units are also there trying to maintain peace. But what I have a problem with what the Congress spokesperson said, that the Prime Minister is not concerned, that the Home Minister is not concerned. Exactly a month ago, on June 25, Amit Shah chaired an all-party meeting, and a lot of Congress MPs and MLAs and other party MPs and MLAs raised their concerns about what was going on. The Home Minister discussed the issue with them. At that point, there was no demand that, we'll only discuss this in the Parliament or we'll only discuss it with the Prime Minister. The Congress CM, the former Congress CM from Manipur, also raised his issues as to what was the concern, that how the divide, as you rightly pointed out, between the communities needs to be, fixed, and they need to be disarmed. So the parties in the shadows are willing to talk to the government. But when it comes to the parliament, suddenly the theatrics kick in. And I also respectfully disagree with Mr. Ansari when he says that the Prime Minister can go out and speak in several parliaments. Sir, he is representing the country there as a leader of the state, from one leader of the state to another. Debating on an internal issue and speaking as a head of the state are two very different things. But nevertheless, I still insist that the discussion must start somewhere. The parties have been talking in all party meetings, where the theatrics are not visible. So they should start a discussion in the parliament, and then probably the Prime Minister needs to step in and make a statement. But they need to start somewhere for the sake of the people in Manipur.
All right. I think we would leave it at that, considering...
Tushar,
yes, Mr.
I
Ansari.
didn't say that the Prime Minister went and addressed other parliaments. I said he finds time to comment about issues in other countries, but he should come to Parliament
right,
of India.
Absolutely, and that remains the principal argument of the opposition as well. I'd like to thank my guests on that note, because unfortunately we are not being able to actually reach a consensus when it is about this major issue. Let's see if that opposition dharna, the overnight dharna that's been planned by India or the opposition alliance tonight, whether that really solves any purpose, whether this conversation, this more important conversation around Manipur really heads anywhere, and if there is a debate and discussion around it in the Parliament tomorrow. We'll leave it at that. We're right now slipping into a very, very short break. But up next, Oppenheimer makes waves at the box office, although it also stokes up a controversy as the intimate scene that features verses of the Bhagavad Gita has gone into a major issue when it is about the Indian audience in the country. We'll debate that, whether it is an artwork or whether it is a brazen insult to the Gita, after this very, very short break.
Machines, what techniques to be used on what site is the first day would go in actually analyzing.
I'll have to interrupt you over there because we have some major breaking news coming in on the same story. Now, this is the recent update on the survey that is currently underway at Gyanvapi complex. 4 teams have been formed from the members of the ASI survey team. All the teams are doing survey work at different locations. This is what we are learning, and this is happening inside the Gyanvapi campus as well. Means one team is working on the western wall and the other team is working under the tomb. So this is the recent update we have about that survey, which is currently underway. We have News18's Amit Singh joining me live on the broadcast.
सर्वे किया जा रहा है, लगातार सर्वे किया जा रहा है ताकि जल्द से जल्द इस सर्वे को कंप्लीट करना है, क्योंकि 4 अगस्त को सर्वे रिपोर्ट कोर्ट में दायर करना है। हम लगातार अपने दर्शकों को तस्वीरें भी दिखा रहे हैं, अंदर की अपडेट भी लगातार दे रहे हैं कि सबसे पहले साफ सफाई किया गया, साफ सफाई के बाद वीडियोग्राफी हुई, वीडियोग्राफी के बाद अब जो सर्वे की जो प्रक्रिया है, जो इंची टेप से नापना, वीडियोग्राफी करना और तमाम जो साइंटिफिक तरीके से किस तरीके से जो उम्र है, जो कितने साल का ये बिल्डिंग है, कितने साल की पश्चिमी दीवार है, कितने साल का गुंबज है, उस बारे में पता लगाना। तो अब एएसआई की टीम लगातार काम कर रही है।
Muslim side has already moved to the Supreme Court. They have knocked the apex court's gate today. The matter is going to be heard on the same as well. So the Muslim side is clearly not very happy with Varanasi court's order and allowing them for the ASI's survey today. We have some reactions coming in from the Muslim side. Let's listen in.
इमाम ख़तीब शाही जामा मस्जिद ज्ञानवापी बनारस व जनरल सेक्रेटरी अंजुम इंतज़ामिया मसाजिद बनारस। आज सर्वे हो रहा है, उसको लेके हमारी प्रतिक्रिया ये है कि हम लोगों ने कल डीएम साहब और कमिश्नर साहब, पुलिस कमिश्नर साहब के आवाज़ पे मीटिंग हुई थी, डीएम साहब भी वहाँ मौजूद थे। तो हम लोगों ने उनसे कहा कि भाई ये जो सर्वे होने जा रहा है उसकी हमें एएसआई द्वारा कोई सूचना नहीं मिली है और कोई नोटिस वगैरह हमको मिली नहीं है, तो हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हो सकते। दूसरी बात यह कि उस आदेश के ख़िलाफ़ हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट गए हुए हैं, आज हमारी हेयरिंग है, तो जिस चीज़ में आज हेयरिंग हो रही है उसी चीज़ में हम वहाँ शामिल कैसे हो सकते हैं। तो हम लोगों ने लिखित रूप से इन लोगों से गुजारिश की कि आप अपने द्वारा हमारी बात आगे ऊपर पहुंचाएं कि इसको एक दिन के लिए आगे बढ़ा दें ताकि हमारी ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला जो मरहला है वो गुजर जाए, उसके बाद हम उसमें शामिल होंगे, उसमें आपका ताउन करते, आपका सहयोग करते। लेकिन अब उन लोगों ने वादा तो किया था कि आपकी ये बात ऊपर पहुंचाई जाएगी, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ। अब आज सर्वे हो रहा है तो इसलिए हम लोग ने उसको
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो आप लोगों ने क्या सर्वे का बहिष्कार किया हुआ?
बहिष्कार किया हुआ
जी। तो किसी तरह से कोई पक्ष मुस्लिम पक्ष की तरफ से अंदर नहीं मौजूद है?
कोई उसको शामिल नहीं है।
अच्छा, जो आदेश आया था उसमें क्या लिखा था कि 4 तारीख तक सर्वे रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए कोर्ट को?
हाँ।
कि क्या क्या सर्वे किस तरह का होगा, ये रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए?
ये डिटेल जो है अभी हमको वो कल रात में काफी मिली हुई है, अभी हम उसका पढ़ नहीं पाए हैं, ये तो वहाँ मालूम होगी। लेकिन इतना ये है कि हम जो है क्योंकि ये 2 वजह है, इस वजह से हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हैं।
तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या पक्ष रख रहे हैं?
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कि भाई ये एक तरीके से जब जिस चीज़ पर रोक लगी हुई है, सन 91 से रोक लगी, स्टे लगा हुआ है, और उसके स्टे को इसको नज़रअंदाज करते हुए आदेश जारी कर दिया गया, तो उसके खिलाफ हम गए हुए अपनी बात रखेंगे भाई ऐसा है। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो फैसला होगा वो देखा।
लेकिन वो हिंदू पक्ष कह रहा है कि मुस्लिम पक्ष डरा हुआ है, इस वजह से सर्वे नहीं चाहता, इस वजह से विरोध कर रहा है।
ये बिल्कुल, ये हमने अभी कहा कि अगर एक
I have CNN News 18's legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar joining me live on the broadcast. Ananya, clearly the Muslim side is not very happy with Varanasi court's order. They have reached the apex court also. What do we know about that? Also, could you tell us the major key takeaways from the past surveys on the same complex?
Well, definitely, Sakshi, the matter is before the topmost court of the country, and urgent mentioning would be made, as we have been told by the Muslim side with regards to the orders that have been passed by, in fact, the Varanasi court directing Archaeological Survey of India survey at this particular site, except for the Vazu area, which has been sealed by the topmost court of the country by its earlier orders. Now, what is very important to note is that they have also sought a particular direction that all of the suits that are pertaining to the Gyanvapi case and this whole disputed site should be stayed until the Supreme Court actually give its final verdict. So whether or not that would be allowed is something that is a matter of time. But as you asked me the second part of your question, what are the key takeaways of the previous surveys? Now, in the previous survey, the Advocate Commissioner's survey, the videography was done of the Vazu Khana area, where what the Hindu side claims it to be a shivling, while the Muslim side says that it's a fountain that has been found there. But at the same point of time, we have to understand the demography of that particular whole structure, the Gyanvapi site, includes various areas, which includes a central dome. There are 3 basic domes. The Hindu side claims that on the central dome, beneath that, there is a Tehkhana, where in fact there would be 2 more shivlings, and in fact the original shivling of the Adi Visheshwar temple that would be gained back is what has been claimed by the Hindu side. Apart from that, what has also been stated is that on the northern and the southern side of it,
welcome back. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Griha. Julius Robert Oppenheimer, the American physicist who built the most destructive weapon known to mankind, then advocated against nuclear weapons and was punished for it. If you thought that's pretty much the story of the father of atomic bomb, well, there's more to it, if we say the least. The aspect that we particularly want to cater to this evening is Oppenheimer's belief in the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. This primarily is also the answer to how the so-called father of the atomic bomb became one of the most vocal advocates for nuclear non-proliferation. I say that because Robert Oppenheimer always had doubts about, quote-unquote, bestowing humanity the possible means for its own annihilation. After witnessing the Trinity test in the July of 1945, when the first atomic bomb was tested, his reservations were amplified many-folds. It is also learnt that he sought the meaning of his actions in the Gita. And today, Oppenheimer's I am become death quote has become inextricably tied to the nuclear age, offering, as many would suggest, an apt description to the terrifying destructive potential of nuclear weapons. Now, according to the Time magazine, Oppenheimer also read the Gita for his quote-unquote personal delight in the evenings and sometimes to entertain friends that had come over. A copy of the sacred text, bound in pink and held together by scotch tape, was placed in his Princeton study. Maybe this is the one aspect that has turned into a peculiar scene in the Nolan directorial. as Oppenheimer's sacred text reading sex scene that has ended up raising hackles in India. The scene has garnered divided opinion on social media, with some demanding its removal and others defending Nolan's artistic choices. Hashtags like boycott Oppenheimer and respect Hindu culture have been trending. So let's get to it and ask today if the Gita that Oppenheimer turned to as an anodyne for the pangs of his conscience, did Christopher Nolan really get too indulgent in saying how intrinsic was it to the man? And joining me on the Viewpoint this evening is Mr. Uday Mahurkar, who is the Information Commissioner with the Government of India and also author and founder of Safe Culture, Save India Foundation. Mr. Mahurkar, thank you so much for being a part of this important conversation. I'd like to first begin by understanding that you've written an open letter to the director of the film Oppenheimer, Mr. Christopher Nolan, on Twitter. Has there been any sort of response that he has garnered from the director himself?
There is no response from him so far, but I am hopeful. In fact, I have tweeted today, welcoming Minister Anurag Thakur's action, while at the same time saying that I expect equal promptness in action from the director Christopher Nolan.
Absolutely.
So we are hoping.
In fact, I was just going to get to that, that the Information Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur has in fact taken a very, very firm stance on that controversial scene that you have also put forth in that letter to Mr. Nolan. And he has demanded a full accountability from the Central Bureau of Film Certification for approving that content, and be ready for the exhibit onto the Indian theatres, the Indian exhibitors. How do you read that particular stance by the Union Minister, in fact taking the censor board to task?
It is I think it's a very prompt response because all this happened yesterday only. The whole controversy started maybe late night before yesterday, so to say. And I think he has acted with a lot of promptness. We should appreciate it. We have appreciated his action, And he's very correct in doing so because the censor board does hold responsibility for this.
Okay. Mr. Mahurkar, help us understand the grouse on behalf of the people of the country who are in fact now, seeing red when it is about that particular scene, and the fact that you have now written to the director, what is it exactly that you want from the filmmaker and also vis-a-vis that controversial scene?
You see, Oppenheimer was a scientist. He is the father of atom bomb. And it is recorded in his own words that he drew inspiration from Gita, Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
And when the blast took place, he was reminded of a verse from Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna says something, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, while the intention of the film is not bad, because there is something, Bhagavad Gita is a unique book. It is associated with Hinduism, but I think it's a book of the world, It has the power, it has got the knowledge to sow a new vision to the entire world, So it has a special significance amongst all other books. So a scientist of Western origin saying that he drew inspiration from Bhagavad Gita is a matter of pride for India and India's civilizational vision, But this scene, which is where he is shown to be having sex and reading a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, being shown to him by his girlfriend, I think that is totally unwarranted. It is an insult to, I think, Bhagavad Gita and to our civilization for that matter, because there is no mention of it anywhere. There is no connection It's only, there can be only two intentions. One is to put down our Hindu community and civilization values, or it is just to earn some money, you know.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mahurkar, why do you say that? I'd like to understand this.
And titillating.
I want to understand this very aspect that you have just presented, that this is a money-making exercise in the garb of having artistic license to do anything, even if it goes about hurting a religious sentiment of a particular community. But help us understand this and allow me to ask this. Have you seen the film, sir?
I have seen the footage.
Okay.
I have got it with me.
Okay, so the detractors who are giving a different argument, who are presenting a different aspect to this particular claim that has been made by a section of people from India, from the country, including yourself, sir, they also go on to say that it is not, the book is not even seen in that particular scene that we are talking about. It's just a page that he's reading out of while that sexual scene has been shot at. And that's why to actually go ahead and accuse the filmmaker for taking that artistic liberty to just go down, probably come down heavily upon the Hindu culture is not really justified. How would you respond to those claims, sir?
No, that is a totally lame argument, because the actor Cillian Murphy also said that he went through Gita, you know. So it's all about Gita. That actress, his girlfriend, might not have spoken the word Gita, but it is understood, you know. Because the hero himself has said that he went through Gita.
No, that aspect has been established about Mr. Oppenheimer. That's you only mentioned at the beginning of the debate that it's a well-known aspect that he used to find solace by reading the Gita. In fact, it has been quoted in the Time magazine that he used to read out excerpts from Gita to his friends also on evenings that he used to have a gathering at his residence. So that's a well-known aspect. But when we claim that this particular scene has been just meant to, or probably put forth by Christopher Nolan to titillate the audience or just a money-making exercise, obviously there needs to be some backing to the claim, Mr. Mahurkar. That is the aspect that I also choose to understand, because a lot of Christopher Nolan loyalists are claiming otherwise, sir.
No. I think that is totally unwarranted. I think it is totally unjustifiable. The whole thing is about Gita. When the director has spoken about Gita and the connection of Gita with Oppenheimer, it has to be Gita only, you know.
Right.
I mean, that is understood.
Okay. Mr. Mahurkar, one last question that I'd like to understand from you.
With Christopher Nolan, and those who want to defend him, you know, hands down, it's good for them. But it is not justified.
Okay. Even as we speaking, Mr. Mahurkar, we are getting to know that the film Barbie is doing better in numbers than Oppenheimer. So I believe the craze of Oppenheimer is sort of dying down, at least in the country. And this controversy is not really doing the film any good. But what are you expecting? Because I don't think that Christopher Nolan probably got the memo yet. But what are you expecting from the authorities here? In this case, Union Minister Anurag Thakur and also the CBFC.
No. Christopher Nolan might not have reacted to it, you know, but he certainly not unaware about this, because this has now appeared in all the major newspapers of Europe.
Yes.
It's in Verity magazine, it's in Daily Guardian, you know, it's there in most of the newspapers, you know. So I don't think he's unaware, but I am very eager to know as to how will he react.
Okay.
My gut feeling is that he might agree to our demand, you know.
All right.
Because it hurts a very large section of people on the globe, you know, for that matter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mahurkar, and
so
sharing
Mr.
your
Anurag
views.
Thakur is
yes. That was the Information Commissioner, Mr. Mahurkar, who had joined us on the broadcast and shared his views after writing that open letter to the filmmaker, Mr. Christopher Nolan, who's made the biopic on Oppenheimer. Let me open this up to my panel now. Pukesh Khanna is an actor who's joining me on the broadcast. Also joining me is film critic Mayank Shekhar. Mayank, I'll begin with you since you've seen the film. I've seen that review of yours where you call it the greatest biopic since Gandhi, and also call it an apostle of non-violence. And to quote you further, fittingly, it's on the father of the atomic bomb who had nothing in common with the father of the nation. Besides, as it's turned out, both of them were drawn to the Sanskrit text and also the Bhagavad Gita. What do you have to say about the controversy on the Gita then, Mayank?
thing, honestly speaking. This particular scene that we're referring to, and I've seen the film twice already, this particular scene that we're referring to it's a very life-affirming moment. And what's playing in the background are lines that go to the effect of, I am very, and that is...
Mayank, there's some problem with the link. We'll re-establish that connection with you and we'll come to you because we're not able to hear you correctly. Let me actually go back to Mr. Mukesh Khanna. Mr. Khanna, first of all, the controversy around this entire scene, which makes a slight reference to the Bhagavad Gita, which has in fact ruffled sentiments here back home. Your views about the controversy first, sir.
See, this film has now stirred the whole, not only nation, but whole world. The film has become as if that is going to get the Oscar award also. It's a very well made film. It must have been very well made because it was made by a very, very well known director.
Yeah.
But here the point of contention is this, that we should understand however bigger or however well made film or anything of that sort does not diminish the blame on them that they have done something which is wrong. And Gita, they have used Gita. They have even discussed, I mean, I haven't seen the film. I shouldn't have any right to talk about it. I'm only reacting to what I have been hearing from even Maurakar or even from all the reports I've been reading. If it is true, I'm against it. Because see, Gita is our आस्था, करोड़ों की आस्था है हमारी गीता, और गीता का पाठ होता है पूरे वर्ल्ड में. The whole India has a Bhagavad Gita के part. Everybody knows what Gita is all about. The freedom of expression does not allow you to use that thing. Why it is only done with Hindu dharma? Can you do this with Muslim dharma? Can you do this with Christian dharma? Can you
Mr.
do
Khanna,
this with
you know, I've
Sikh
had
dharma?
you on my broadcast a lot many times when it was about films which are totally concerning the Indian topography. This argument I'd still take, but here we're talking about an international film that has a global reckoning that's been made by Christopher Nolan. I don't think he has got the memo with the Hindu-Muslim exercise here in the country. But since you're making that point, let me actually bring Mayank back with us on the broadcast. He is back with us. Mayank, on the earlier point that you're making, I'll come back to you, Mr. Khanna. Mayank is back with us.
No. You are raising a wrong point.
All right, please complete your point.
You are saying it's an international film.
Okay. Please complete
you
your
are
point.
saying it is not between Hindu Muslims. Sorry, madam. It is not a point between Hindu Muslim. It is a point of only Hindu, and an international film can do it. No, it is not acceptable. That's what I want to say. Don't say it's because international film, they may not be knowing it. They have to know. If they don't know, then they should have used it for the Muslim also, Quran also, no? Why didn't use
That's
Quran?
exactly the point that I was making, sir, which you have actually justified what I was just saying. Mayank, you were making that earlier argument. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things here, right? One, Khanna Sahab says that he has not seen the film. He himself says that then in that case, he shouldn't be talking about it, and which is true. I think he should see it first. The first thing that he'll realize when he sees this masterpiece of a movie that is genuinely drawing fans from across the world for a very good reason, is that in that particular scene, there is a subtext to it. And that subtext has a context as well. Yes, it's an intimate moment. In that intimate moment, which is supposed to mean something which is life-affirming, this is between two people, that is Oppenheimer and his girlfriend at the time. What is playing in the background, the words that are playing from Gita are about destruction. And that is a subtext that needs to be understood by any film buff. And I think Khanna Sahab himself is a man of the movies. I think he'll understand it. Second, the reference here is that, why is it that we are talking about Gita? Because Gita has a lot of followers of this text across India. The fact is, Oppenheimer was equally a follower of Bhagavad Gita, and he's used it in a way of philosophy. There are fans of Gita across the world, whether or not they follow Hinduism, and so they're only following facts here. The fact that he was drawn to the text is rather well known. In fact, even Nazis were drawn to Bhagavad Gita, and that is also quite well known. So you can interpret the same text depending on how you like it. But the fact that he was The fact that he was someone who followed Gita, someone who was learning Sanskrit is a well-known fact. So why should that not be shown in a movie? Third, I think there is an element of being prudish about it, which something Gita effectively is Lord Krishna, giving his worldview to Arjun in Mahabharata.
Correct.
Lord Krishna himself would have approved because he was not a prude himself. He's associated with Ras Leela, he's associated with gopis. I mean, he was not a prude. Why are his followers becoming prudes? It's something that I think anybody who sees it for its artistic merit will be able to see exactly what Nolan has done. The only thing that didn't make sense to me in the entire movie, and as I told you, I've seen it twice already, is this something that's only imposed in India and by India's health ministry, these massive smoking kills, where you're defiling a piece of art, in a massive IMAX city. I'm like, this is a movie on 270,000 people who died. I mean, maybe it should say humans kill as well, and humans kill each other. So I mean, I don't think this is the same movie that the whole world is watching, appreciating. I think we should participate in that.
Okay, so Mayank, on the earlier point that you made, we leave the smoking bit because that's part of another debate. Mr. Khanna, do you agree to this aspect that, considering Bhagavad Gita was an important turn of events for Mr. Oppenheimer after the first atomic bomb was tested, the Trinity test that it's called, it's well known, and people know about his association with the Bhagavad Gita, using that in context in that film which has been made by Mr. Nolan, just taking it out of context and only talking about a particular scene which is exclusive of the film cannot really be dealt with as, as people are making a controversy about it? Mr. Khanna?
See, it is not the yes, I'm saying
yes.
It is not the use of Gita. I'm happy. An international film using Gita it makes us very happy. But here the question is not that whether we can use the text of Gita or not. It is the timing of the words being used where. You see, Gita can be recited anywhere in your house. You can recite whole day. You can say Om Namah Shivaya, you can say even Hare Krishna, everything is being done. But when it is a private affair, it's okay. But when it is a public affair, then you cannot say that it is the artistic presentation. Mayank wants me to understand, I'm an artist, so I should understand artistic. No, I don't. I don't understand the use of a platform as big as a film to be used badly, differently. It can excite people, it can incite people. They must understand that the sex scene is not a place where you will recite Gita.
Okay. No,
talking about Mayank says that Ras Leela Krishna is related.
Yeah, come to that point because, when he makes the point that, Lord Krishna was not a prude himself. And if we are using that as a context, for example, Christopher Nolan has used the Bhagavad Gita aspect of Oppenheimer, which was a very, very important part of his life. In fact, something that he is used as a pang of consciousness, that he is actually resorted to reading the Gita and then, narrating verses from out of it. And he's been known for it. So why should it not be in use? Because that is also the argument that all the people from the fraternity are also making, when it is about artistic license.
Krishna is not, you cannot say Krishna is related to Ras Leela. So you can show sex using Gita. No.
That is not what I'm saying.
It's a wrong belief for everybody that Krishna. Listen to me.
Decided to misinterpret everything, including that you haven't seen it misinterpret me also. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying he was not a prude himself. Yeah. And it's important to see.
But how can you say he was not a prude himself? How can you say Krishna was not? You are blaming. You are wrongly putting words by saying Krishna.
Are you
was
saying
not
Krishna?
A person.
Are you saying Lord Krishna was a
prude?
Are you saying Lord Krishna was a prude? Are you saying Lord Krishna was a prude?
No, I'm saying why are you using this argument? Why are you using the argument? Well, just because Ras Leela is shown.
I'm not using the argument.
Let's refrain from one-to-one.
I'm trying to explain a context.
All right, let him make a point. Mayank. We've got the point that you are making, and I'll go and further understand from you that how much can be done in the name of artistic license, because this is one aspect that was so far being restricted to just Indian cinema. Now this has been projected into an international film which has got so much of resonance here because people were waiting for this Christopher Nolan directorial, and now with this one scene, it has garnered that controversy. So do you think that argument can also be suffice for an international film, considering there has been so much furor about a lot of other films that have come out of the Indian stable when it was about religious depictions to start with? Mayank.
Well, it's kind of clear that someone or the other decides to take offense to a point that it's become boring also, you know. It's becoming a cliche in terms of always taking offense from a religious point of view. The point that Khanasa made is like, why would they not do it to Quran? The fact is, Oppenheimer did not read the Quran, and so it will not fit into this. There are enough films like Passion of the Christ, but people went and watched it. So, I mean, to say that this is being done to denigrate Hindu religion, this is a film that is genuinely seeing Bhagavad Gita as a very important philosophical text, something that deeply impassioned Oppenheimer, one of the greatest scientists of his times, the father of the atomic bomb. This is also based on reality, things that he had himself written, things that he had himself said. Now, if you're going to use that for any kind of political advantage, I think it'll be unfair, because then you're not.
Do you think he could have done away with the sex scene just in order to avoid the controversy, or he did not even go there that this can be controversial at all? Because right now, right now, international press is also covering the controversy around the sex scene and the use of Bhagavad Gita couplets when it was about that.
Yes, so I really highly doubt it would have ever occurred to him, even in a remotest way, that this can cause any controversy, purely because you see it in the subtext that particular scene appears in. That subtext is about a moment of intimacy that is very life-affirming, but what is being read from the text is about destruction. So that is what creates the two contrasts when Gita is being quoted, and it completely makes sense to someone who wants to see it artistically.
Okay. All right. I would like to thank both my panelists for joining me. Unfortunately, that's all the time that I have on the broadcast for this, as we have got some breaking news now. And this is a CNN News 18 mega exclusive, as the Election Commission of Pakistan has issued a non-bailable warrant, an arrest warrant against former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Khan. That's the latest that we are bringing to you. The Election Commission of Pakistan issuing a non-bailable arrest warrant against Imran Khan. Why has it done that? To get more inputs on this story, let me actually bring my colleague Tejinder, who's joining us. Yes, Tejinder, what has brought this about?
Yes, you see, the Election Commission of Pakistan has issued a non-bailable warrant against the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. This pertains to the Election Commission calling Imran Khan to present Imran Khan itself before the Election Commission. But Imran Khan did not comply to all those summons, summons that were sent to him by the Election Commission to appear before the Election Commission. This is the contempt case in which now the Election Commission of Pakistan has issued a non-bailable warrant against Imran Khan. Okay. This non-bailable warrant reads that Imran Khan is required to contempt of the Commission's proceedings initiated in terms of Section 10 of Election Act 2017. Imran Khan failed to appear before the Election Commission of Pakistan despite service of notice as well bailable warrants of arrest dated 16/1/2023 and the 2nd of March 2023. So now that Imran Khan has failed to present himself before the Election Commission, and as a contempt of Election Commission's notice, Imran Khan has been now issued a non-bailable warrant against him.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Tejinder. An important piece of breaking news that we are putting forth for our viewers on Viewpoint. And on that note, it's a wrap from my side. My colleague Toya is up next with Plain Speak.
Good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Toya Singh.
On this show, we aim to break down the day's top stories by trying to keep an eye on the facts and the facts alone. Our first focus today was the third day of the monsoon parliament session, and a logjam between the opposition and the centre around the ethnic violence in Manipur very much continues. Now, on one side, you have the opposition that's demanding that the gravity of the Manipur situation deserves a statement from the Prime Minister first and then a discussion. On the other side, you have the centre that argues that they are ready for a discussion, but one that's helmed by the Home Minister, under whose charge they say that this entire issue falls. Today's session saw more ruckus, more sloganeering, and the suspension of a Rajya Sabha MP. But what about the issues that matter? What we're looking at today on Place Speak. How can a path that allows for the state of Manipur's turmoil to be addressed, a path that allows for legislative business in the parliament to continue, how can that path be charted out? We take those questions to our guests in just a second. First, let's take a very quick look at the issues between the centre and the opposition on the screen behind me. On one side, you have the opposition that says that the Prime Minister should brief the Parliament on the Manipur issue. They say it's an important issue that's been going on for almost 3 months now. As you know, more than 100 people have lost their lives. Thousands of people have been displaced. They believe the Prime Minister should address this. On the other side, the centre. The centre counters by saying the Prime Minister has already put out a statement on this. That's enough. The Home Minister, who has already visited Manipur, you remember, and again plans to visit it next month too, they say he should now brief the Parliament. Now, what's the second sticky point? On one side, you have the opposition that is saying suspend all business and discuss Manipur. On the other side, the centre is saying that the opposition is trying to derail the Parliament proceedings. They're saying, look, there are 31 bills that need to be passed, that need to be discussed. None of that will take place if the Parliament continues the way it's continued for the last 3 days. And lastly, the opposition, and you might already remember this, continues to demand the removal of the Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh. They're saying the centre needs to impose president's rule in the state. On the other side, the centre is saying this is a sensitive issue and the opposition shouldn't, according to them, in their words, politicize the matter. Now, the opposition wants to discuss Manipur under Rule 176, which will mean that the House discusses the issue without any time limit. They're saying this is a truly important issue that deserves all the time. The centre, on the other hand, is saying that we will discuss Manipur and we're ready to discuss it immediately, but under Rule 267, which will put a cap of 2.5 hours to this entire discussion. Let's take a deeper dive into this entire story in just a second. First, I want to show you what Union Minister, Home Minister Amit Shah, who's already visited the state for a period of 3 days, what he had to say in the Lok Sabha today. Take a look.
मेरा विपक्ष के सभी सम्मानीय सदस्यों से मेरा आग्रह है कि एक बहुत संवेदनशील मुद्दे पर काफी सदस्यों ने सत्ताधारी दल के और विपक्ष के दोनों ओर के सदस्य ने चर्चा की मांग की है। मैं सदन में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हूं। मुझे मालूम नहीं है कि विपक्ष को चर्चा करने देना नहीं चाहता है। मेरा विपक्ष के नेता को आग्रह है कि चर्चा होने दे और इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले पर पूरे देश के सामने सच्चाई जाए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
All right, one of the aspects we're taking a closer look at today is the issue of the continuing lack of productivity, as some experts call it, in both houses of the parliament. We have some data to follow this up. Let's take a quick look at these numbers, then we'll go over to our guests. Number one, Monsoon Session 2021. The parliament worked for 34 days, but the productivity in the Lok Sabha was only 21%. The Rajya Sabha was 29%. These are some very low numbers. Now, during this session, the opposition was demanding a discussion on Pegasus spyware. Cut to the winter session of 2021, the parliament worked for 38 days. The productivity in Lok Sabha was 47%, Rajya Sabha 43%. At this point, you might remember the entire country was grappling with an uproar over the Lakhimpur Khedi incident. Now let's take a very quick look. Let's take you into the monsoon session of 2022 last year. Remember, monsoon sessions are particularly short, which is why time is of the essence. Here, last year, Parliament worked for 22 days. The productivity of the Lok Sabha was 47%, the Rajya Sabha 42%. During this session, the opposition wanted a debate on important issues, inflation and GST. Now cut to the budget session of 2023, which some research founders have deemed the least productive in the last 5 years. Parliament worked for a total of 49 days. The productivity of Lok Sabha was 33%. The productivity of Rajya Sabha was 24%. Here, the opposition at this time was demanding a joint parliamentary committee investigation, probe into the Adani Hindenburg issue. Now, we're going to take a deeper look at this entire story. But our question for tonight, as the Manipur incident continues, as the state continues to go through turmoil, what's the way out of the deadlock we're seeing right now in Parliament?
सरकार मणिपुर के ऊपर बात करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। मोदी जी सदन में आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। हमारा विरोध जारी रहेगा।
We are united. Our only demand is that Prime Minister should come to Parliament, and we are ready for a discussion on Monday.
विपक्ष के नेता को आग्रह है कि चर्चा होने दे और इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले पर पूरे देश के सामने सच्चाई जाए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
देश के गृह मंत्री दोनों सदनों में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं कि विपक्ष मणिपुर से संबंधित घटनाओं पर चर्चा करने की बजाय क्यों भाग रही है।
Let's take a deep dive by first taking a look at the guests that are joining us for our conversation today. We have Neeti Jain from the BJP, we have Aishwarya Mahadev from the Congress, we also have Nitin Tyagi, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, and R. Rajagopalan, who's with us. He's a senior journalist. Good evening. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I'm first going to actually go over to the Congress spokesperson, Aishwarya Mahadev, who's with us. Aishwarya, thank you for joining us. My first question is to you, because we've just played out a few BJP statements, one most recently from just a few hours ago by Union Minister Smriti Irani, where what we're seeing the BJP say is that it's the opposition that doesn't want a discussion. Aishwarya, I want to ask you a more focused question. I want to ask you, what is the Congress's plan here? What's the game plan over the next few days? Is the game plan to continue to stall?
Good evening, Toya. I think first and foremost, India has a great tradition of parliament and democracy as a whole, where every time something that shakes the nation, something that shocks or something that appalls or any sort of grave instance, you have seen statesmen like prime ministers come out and the first thing they do is assure the people of the nation and also assure the parliamentarians, because the parliamentarians are representatives of the entire populace of the country of India. And I believe what the opposition parties unitedly are asking for is for the Prime Minister in this case to do his Raj Dharma, because somebody that had the gumption to go stand outside a hotel when a terrorist attack was happening and have a press conference does not seem to have the same sort of courage to come address Parliament whatsoever, but will speak for 30 seconds outside. But let me come back to the very important issue, because a lot of people are saying the opposition is stalling stalling debate and whatnot. Let me give you that clarification, right? The opposition parties, one, want the Prime Minister to speak, and second, all opposition parties have given notices under various sections of where any sort of debate and discussion can happen. There have been under in both houses, and now what the BJP is saying is we are ready to discuss. What are they ready to discuss? Under Rule 267, you are allowed to have a discussion for how long? 2.5 hours, and then discretion is left to whom? The speaker also, to see if you want to extend it. Do you believe an issue